Welcome Average Joe Nation from around the globe. Props to you for staying up to date and keeping in the know. With fantasy football, man, very soon you'll reign. The knowledge that these three guys have, man, it is insane. Fantasy football talk, hateful eight, they wear the crown. Hold it down, Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli, hold it down. Pulling up to LB Design Studio, we're getting loud. Season 2, headphones on, red light go, break it down.
Welcome back to the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast with your host. I'm Pickle. And with me as always, Blackburn.
What up?
And Trimboli.
What's going on?
Today is not the most glorious of, I guess, positions on the field that you have to play. I mean, they don't get next to the offensive linemen. They're kind of the left behind, the forgotten ones.
Absolutely.
Unless your name's like Travis Kelce or Zach Ertz. Most people don't even know you exist.
Basically, yeah.
So... anyways, so this week we'll be discussing the tight ends year in review. Surprisingly, not many of them did very well. That we yeah.
It was health for a lot of them.
I was to say
This was a very I think it was a down year for the tight end spot. To be honest,
I'd say a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's just from what
we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it wasn't as consistent. Like 10 guys in there. There was basically three.
Right. All right, so yeah, that'll be our main discussion today. We do have some general fantasy news, maybe some relevant ones to look over as the offseason begins here in a couple of months for the actual NFL season. But make sure you're following all of the different social media accounts for the podcast, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or on Instagram. So just to start out the show, fantasy news-wise, I found... Antonio Brown says he badly wants to play for the San Francisco 49ers per Jerry Rice.
That's fantastic.
Right?
I say people in hell badly want ice water, but they're not going to get it.
This is true. Oh, man, I did not see that one coming. Yeah, so Jerry Rice apparently was interviewed on an NBC radio show and said that Antonio Brown really wants to be a 49er, said he wants to run the hill with him and everything else. So,
but why, though? Why San Francisco?
I don't know.
I think because he's got a young quarterback, maybe an up-and-coming team, and he's not there with Mike Tomlin or Big Ben, who are the guys I think that we're all kind of gathering as the enemy in his eyes.
I mean, I get that, but you can go to other teams that are instant contenders. I mean, he's only 31?
He'll be 31, I think, in like March.
Yeah, I mean, he can't block a trade, can he? So
No.
He's not going to have a pick anyways. And on that note, an interesting team that just rose up today that I've been hearing rumors about is Seattle's looking into him.
Yeah.
They're highly interested. And they don't have a lot of draft picks to begin with this next draft.
Right.
And they're strongly considering Brown right now.
That's not bad. I mean,
so who's out? Baldwin?
No. I think they just bring him in and they just move Baldwin to that slot,
Number 2.
that slot receiver spot, guaranteed, and put Lockett on the outside for sure. Then you got two solid wide. I mean, it's basically like Julian Edelman. You just move him to the inside, or Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is the number 1 on that team, but primarily runs out of the slot position.
That's like Thielen.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where you put him at. I mean, the traditional I'm the number 1 wide receiver lineup on the outside, it doesn't happen always nowadays. It sounds kind of cliche, but now they've moved a lot of guys who are still number 1s, like you said, Thielen, Baldwin, Edelman, Keenan Allen are all wide receivers that come out of the slot. But
it's just matchups. That's why.
Yeah.
Right. Matchup disadvantage and everything. But so anyways, then the Eagles said they would, end quote, love to keep Nick Foles. Well, I'd like to win the lottery and then win it the next time too, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
Nick Foles is about to get paid somewhere else.
Yeah, and they already named Wentz as a starter going forward. They're behind him.
I was going to say Doug Peterson said that Wentz is their quarterback going forward. So
unless Foles wants to take a hometown discount just to stay there.
Yeah, I don't.
But I mean, the guy was ready to quit football a couple of years ago.
True.
Yeah.
Altogether. So.
Well, I don't want to jump because I think I know where you're going with these notes, but I'd love to see him land in Carolina if Newton is really out.
Yeah, I was going to say that Newton potentially being done for the 2019 season already, depending on the type of shoulder surgery he has to have.
Yeah, but would Foles leave there to just go play 1 year? Because they know when Cam comes back, he's the starter.
I'm just telling you right now, it sounds like with the type of offense that Rivera is wanting to go into, Cam Newton is a hindrance to that passing game. Not like in a negative way, like he's a bad quarterback, but the deep throw, the accurate throwing is what they want. And let's be honest, Nick Foles is a pretty accurate guy for the most part.
Well,
he can throw the ball too. I mean, he has an arm on him as well.
Well, Funchess is a free agent too.
Right.
Funchess is going to be a free agent. I mean, Antonio Brown could come in. I mean, there's a potential. There's a lot of what ifs.
Wow.
So
they get Foles and Antonio Brown. They just ship Cam out. See
yeah,
ya.
like, sorry, bud.
No, listen, Cam ain't going anywhere.
I don't
He's just
think
going to
so
be done
either.
this year. But with Foles, I do agree with you. He's going to look for the multi-year deal. But either way he goes, he's only in there until a young starter is ready to go,
Yeah, he's a bridge guy.
or an injured guy is ready
come
to
to
come
Washington, Nick
Yeah.
Foles. Come to Washington.
Well,
back. See, that's an interesting spot right there.
yeah,
Because I don't think Alex Smith,
it's coming
No.
back.
Colt McCoy is not your guy. Butt Fumble's not our guy. Josh
No.
Johnson will be sitting back on the couch again where he was this year.
Yeah,
Bring Nick Foles in.
Yeah, if they might be the one team that can give him a multi-year deal because they just need to out of necessity.
true. So anyway, the GM Howie Roseman has said that they want to keep Nick Foles. Obviously, Nick Foles' contract, I haven't gotten fully into like exactly what the details and what the stipulations are, but basically they have to say, we want to keep you, we want to sign, and then he has to agree to it. If he disagrees with it, then basically they can either do a sign and trade, or they can just outright cut him. But he has to agree to wanting to play with them to sign the tag. Basically, that's how his contract is written. So he's got the leverage. So if he wants to play in Philadelphia, he could always do that. If not, if he wants to see what the market is, he can always do that as well. So be interesting to see that. Now on to the coaching news. Gary Kubiak officially joins the Vikings coaching staff as some sort of offensive consultant.
Yeah.
But his son is going to be the quarterback coach, which is kind of why I think he went that way.
Well, they're still keeping that offensive coordinator, too, from last year.
True. So they're keeping him there. And then, like I said, I know that Kubiak's son's going to be the quarterback coach there. So could be interesting going forward. And it sounds like they're really – Mike Zimmer's trying to build up that offense with some young and/or if they're not young, then at least knowledgeable guys who know how to run offenses. So,
well, it's a nice offense to be a part of.
right, you got studs across the board. You got Kyle Rudolph should be a top 5 tight end. You got Thielen and Diggs who are top 10 wide receivers at their position. Dalvin Cook who's a top 10, top 12 even. Well, if you want to give him a little bit of slide, top 12 running back in the league. I'm just saying you got a pretty decent offensive line when they're healthy. Your defense is a good defense. You got a highly invested that you put into money wise into Kirk Cousins, so you got to make that offense worthwhile. Otherwise, it's for naught. So, but the Packers hire Nathan Hackett to be the offensive coordinator. He previously came from, I believe, Jacksonville. Actually,
I got him from State Farm.
Pretty much
with Rogers and those commercials.
So, so that's basically apparently Matt LaFleur's going to be his offensive guru.
Well, she's a guy, so.
I just got that the State Farm commercial. Good one. Man, you're on fire today. Browns to name Steve Wilks as the defensive coordinator. So no more Greg Williams. They're bringing in Steve Wilks, former head coach or one-and-done coach at Arizona.
Right.
So I think this is a good thing for them. I guess this is best case available if you didn't bring Greg Williams back, which it sounds like they didn't want Greg Williams back.
Which is crazy.
Well, I just think they're going to do a youth movement kind of in their coaching staff, which I think this was a great hire they got here, and I think this is an interesting coaching staff. This whole team now. It's got a lot of buzz, and I don't want there to be a lot of buzz in Cleveland because that just means the Bengals are going to be sitting at the bottom. But it's probably going to be like that.
Well, at least be fair though. The Browns have been sitting at the bottom of the AFC North for how many years? Since like the early 90s.
Since before they left and then came back.
True. So
I just feel like they're starting to do things the right way. They've drafted very well. They got a nice young quarterback now. We got a young coaching staff in there.
Right.
There's just a lot to be hopeful for in Cleveland.
True.
They still got a ton of draft picks coming up.
Yeah, and then in an AFC North, which like we talked about last time, was who knows where it's at.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh
could explode.
Baltimore's still figuring things out, and Cincinnati. So
true. All right. And then also the Browns hire Todd Monken, is it Monken?
Munkin.
Monken. Monken.
Yeah.
Okay, reading sometimes difficult for me. As the offensive coordinator, he was formerly the OC for the Buccaneers. So, however, with that, as Blackburn would say, Freddie Kitchens has said that he still will be the primary play caller.
That's
for
what I was
that
going to say.
offense.
They just got a guy to fill the position.
Yeah.
Freddie Kitchens is running stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, and then the Bears hire Chuck Pagano to run the defense. So
That's a good hire.
Yeah.
if you couldn't keep the defensive coordinator that you had, who ended up going to, I forget way that guy went last week.
I don't know.
Their defensive coordinator ended up, Vic Fangino. He ended up getting
Denver
as the head coach.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't, that's a pretty good fill-in.
Yeah.
As you slide one veteran defensive coordinator out, bring another one back in, and he's only in charge of the defense. So I think that's a good setup for Chuck Pagano.
Well, that defense is so talented. I mean,
Yeah.
I could go coach it.
Oh, I was going to say, as long as you understand what each position is on the field, that there's 11 guys out on the field on defense, I think you could and just say, hey,
go get him.
hey, 52, you see the guy with the ball, says hike, hit him every time.
Right.
Thanks. Go get that guy.
Gruden couldn't figure that out, though.
No. Gruden couldn't figure that out. He's one of the few that couldn't.
And he was out of the playoffs, and the 2 trades were both in.
Yeah. And all of his draft picks went to the back of the draft first round. I mean, it's still a first-round pick, but...
Well, he could package some of those and get up into the top.
True.
Whatever.
And then I saw that the Buccaneers may be cutting Gerald McCoy at the end of this the NFL calendar season, or whatever you want to call it.
Is it a cap issue?
He's still got like 2 or 3 years. I just think that they don't think how much they paid him. They'd rather take the cap hit and let the rest of the dead money just go.
He's still making noise, but the rest of their defense was trash.
Right. But I think that they've invested so much money into him. I don't think that...
Watch him go to an elite defense like Chicago or L.A.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to have to pay him. I mean, somebody will pay him. Somebody will.
He's only in his... I think he's in his late 20s, right?
Yeah. He's in his mid-20s, I believe. But either way, still, he's got 3 years on the contract that he just signed, I think a year or two ago from them. I guess they're just looking to get rid of him, apparently. Sorry. I almost hit myself in the face with that. So, anyways, all righty. Well, let's go ahead and get into
That would have been awesome.
That would have been. Let's go ahead and get into the year in review for the tight end position.
Tight ends.
All right. The year in review, tight ends.
You know what I was thinking on that drop?
Yeah.
It needs to be like a receipt now because there's no more change.
No, the change. I thought about putting the jackpot like the buzzer alarm sound, like when you win the Mega Million or whatever, but
I don't know what that sounds like.
I don't either.
I've only heard it on TV.
I've heard it on TV. Anyways, so today's episode, as always, is sponsored by Trophy Smack. Trophy Smack's got over 1,000 different customizations with their trophies, and they're bringing in the championship belts. And they've also got loser trophies, which I failed to mention last week, but not that many people are happy to get those. But we have loser trophies. I mean, other people have loser trophies. This way you don't have to, like, think of a creative idea. And, I mean, I'm sure they're going to have more and more. They seem to add more and more options and stuff as weeks go. And I know with baseball and basketball, fantasy stuff going on right now, they're going to be trying to implement more options.
If you don't have a loser trophy in your league, you need to rethink what's going on there.
You need to up your game, kids.
Yes.
Right. So, anyway, so if you head over to our website, you can click on the championship rings and trophies tab under the more section, and it'll take you over to Trophy Smack, and you can use the promo code TH8FF ring, all caps. It gets you a free championship ring with your purchase of any fantasy trophy on their website. So, and if you're listening on the podcast or on YouTube, you can look in the descriptions and below in the links. So, all right, this one a little different than what we've seen as how good we did in the previous predictions and rankings. So number one out the gate, Travis Kelce. He through 16 games had, well, they obviously have a bye week in those 16 games, but anyways, in 15 games played, he had an average of 15 points a game for 234 fantasy points.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
From the tight end spot.
Now, did he break the record this year, receptions?
I believe so.
Or was it yards?
No, that was Zach Ertz.
That was Ertz.
Zach
Okay.
Ertz did for the tight end position. So single season record.
Kittle did too, but it was franchise records
Right.
for both.
So
Okay.
I'm just, these guys, I mean, so we ended up having
The top three is the top four are the important ones.
right.
Right.
So Travis Kelce, we had him as our consensus 3. I had him at 2. Blackburn had him at 7, and Trimble had him at 3. And we had him higher because it's just Travis Kelce. We just figured they're going to throw the ball potentially more with Mahomes. Your kind of hesitation was just the
I wasn't
Kansas City
sold on
offense.
Mahomes. What
Right.
we seen again, what we seen last week with Tyreek Hill, what we seen in preseason from Mahomes, I was like, yeah, I'm not giving this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, and you said it early, and you made it. I mean, you didn't just say I just don't like Travis Kelce.
No,
I
he's
don't.
great talent.
It's right. You said. I mean, you verbatim said he's a great tight end. He's very talented. He's a top 3 talented wise. However, your biggest concern was Mahomes.
Yeah,
and
well,
I mean,
it's not a concern anymore.
No, not going
To
forward.
say the least.
Not anymore.
He
so
had a decent year this year.
he had okay.
Decent. 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. That's what it is.
There are
Right.
a lot of fives going on. That
Right, and then you got Zach Ertz coming in at 2. So just going from 1 to 2 is about a 18? What was that 15?
No, 15. Yeah,
15.
15.
15 fantasy.
Math.
I know. I looked at it wrong. 15-point difference. So that's not a big jump from 1 to 2. Surprise. I mean, it sounds like a big jump, but for where Kelce and Zach Ertz were being drafted, Zach Ertz was drafted probably third or fourth rounds. Kelce was up in that 2 to 3 spot for sure.
right.
He was up there with the aforementioned Robo Gronk area.
God, the
So
10 man walking around.
Yeah.
clink,
Give me
clink,
my oil.
clink, clink.
You guys sucked.
So anyway, so Zach Ertz, as you said,
Robo Gronk.
eclipsed the tight end receptions and everything. So he did it really good as well. 14 points a game. That offense struggled in the run game, which helped the passing game in general because guys like Alshon, guys like Nelson Aguilar in the first part of this year when it was Nick Foles' offense.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz was successful regardless of who the quarterback was.
Yeah, he's their number 1 receiver.
Yes.
Just out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, they did end up bringing in Golden Tate later in the year, but still, I mean,
Pretty
Zach
much a
Ertz was the guy.
non-factor, yeah.
Zach Ertz was the guy that you had to have in that offense if you wanted anybody in Philly.
Yep, him and Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Jeffrey was probably like a weekly wide receiver 2 to flex spot, but Zach Ertz was a top 3 tight end weekly.
Yep.
I mean, you guaranteed it.
Ertz could have probably fought for that number 1 spot if Wentz would have been there all year. I know he still did well with Foles, but his numbers really took off when Wentz came back.
Right. And I will tell you, I think what also kind of hindered him, I hate to say it, was the emergence of Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't, Dallas Goedert didn't, statistically blow it up, him being out there, he did get a couple more receptions. He did see some red zone opportunities
Some
that
touchdowns.
would have been Zach Ertz's all the way. And that's, I guess, going into the offseason, that'll be something to kind of monitor for that offense because I think that Zach Ertz was the beneficiary still, obviously, in the passing game because he's Wentz's favorite guy. But I just think that if they're going to continue to go with these 2 tight end sets, it could be something that you see like a couple years ago when you had the Patriots where it was Gronk and it was Hernandez, or who the other 2, there was a 2-set tight end group, Ebron and Doyle, where it's going to be a week by week. It could be this week it's Ertz's big week.
Brayton Howard.
Right, where it kind of just goes by the week, by the defense, what they give. So that's something to monitor with Zach Ertz going into the offseason. I still think he is a top 5 tight end.
I'd still roll with Ertz no matter what.
Absolutely.
I would just kind of see how this offense goes going forward. So, number 3, George Kittle, tight end out of San Francisco. I mean, we talked about it in the preseason that this guy could be somebody who was a preseason hype with Jimmy G. And once Jimmy G got hurt, we're like, man, is this offense really going to do? But C.J. Beathard, because they went to school together in Iowa, they already had that quarterback receiver type connection from college, so they already knew and had that comfortable passing routes and whatnot. So
chemistry.
That is.
And he's one of the few guys on that team that stayed healthy all year.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone on the offense was out at least for portions of games or all games or season.
He was the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes, I was gonna say he was their offense, and for sure. I mean, you had I just drew a blank on who the running back was.
Breida.
There you go. Breida was at times in there, and when he was able to go more than a series or 2, he was a good pass catching back.
Right.
But George Kittle was the main focal point. Pettis came in late.
Pettis was late. Goodwin had a few good games, but they all got hurt.
Yep.
Right. Let's see.
Kittle will be a top 3 guy next year, I think.
I think he is. He's got that potential top 3.
He's already proved that. I mean, when Jimmy G comes back, he's going to be a big target for them.
Right. So, and we had George Kittle as our consensus 11. I had him at 13. Blackburn had him at 10. Tremblay had him at 14. And that was just because when you look at in general, you looked at the offense there in San Francisco, that was before Jerick McKinnon was hurt. You're like, Jerick McKinnon's there, so they're probably going to try to run balance offense. But you saying you knew a little bit because of the Washington-style offense, you knew that the tight end is a favored.
Tight end is favored. Plus, the year before when Jimmy G got there and played those, how many ever games it was,
Right.
he favored George Kittle a lot.
Right.
Right.
And George Kittle's numbers kind of grew, and we were all like, "Who's George Kittle?"
Right.
You know.
Well, and George Kittle, I mean, his jump, he was the 25th overall tight end last year, was 73 points. Look at that jump. I mean, he doubled himself, almost tripled himself.
Well,
Right.
he was.
I say he didn't have anybody really throwing in the
Yeah,
ball,
right.
and then when Jimmy G got traded over and moved in, that's when the offense started kind of moving with him. And I think that's what you, like you said, you kind of banked on that as well as with the Shanahan offense and stuff like that being a play call. And they do he does like to favor the tight end in the receiving game. See Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. So
Well, Jordan Reed's best years is when Shanahan was our OC.
right.
So
Yep.
So we'll see. But he's definitely one to go. He could be potentially up in there that like Gronk.
well, Gronk's out of it. He's
Well, I
done.
meant like in the years past where
Yeah.
you're he's like one of those tight
Mainstays.
ends that you could potentially take in like the first like 3 rounds.
Yeah, we'll see the Ertz, Kelce's, and Kittles the next couple years, I think.
I think
agree.
so. And then the next guy that we'll talk about, he could be potentially slide in there as well, depending on how this offense moves forward with bringing in receiving guys. But Eric Ebron coming in at number 4.
He just, man, he was like boom or bust too, though. There was games where he'd give you 3 touchdowns. The next week would come around, he'd give you a goose egg.
Well,
Right.
see, and he's the guy that when I go to draft next year, I'm not one I'm reaching for because I know he's touchdown dependent sometimes. I know a lot of these tight ends are, but he really is. I mean, he'd have games where he'd have 3 receptions, but it'd be 3 touchdowns.
Right,
I mean,
Yeah.
especially with Jack Doyle, and Jack Doyle was out snapping him.
right.
So he'll be an interesting one if he can keep the touchdown rate up, but that's a lot of touchdowns.
Eric Ebron's ceiling was 27 points, so there's your, one of your 3 touchdown games. But his floor, 0.
Right.
Goose egg.
So if they struggle to get into the red zone or weren't in there a lot, that's where, and then his numbers are going to then go
Yep.
down. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a pretty big gap from 27 to 0. I mean,
Well,
it's-
but he had multiple zeros too, and it wasn't it did not play. He played.
yeah,
He just didn't get involved. It was the Marlon Mack show, that game where he had like 30 points, where T.Y. Hilton went off.
true.
yeah, it's not like avoid Ebron. It's just in general you got to take into consideration what we saw this year.
Right.
True.
And Doyle was in and out a lot, and finally was out for a while. But next year he'll be back. So I don't know.
Ebron's a great talent, but again, like to your point, who knows what they're going to bring in the wide receiver too?
I mean,
That's also going to eat into his
There's
touches.
been rumors of Bell, Brown, or both
Yeah.
potentially. I mean, there's Devonta Parker's out there. I mean, there's a lot of different guys.
Funches, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that could be brought in potentially in the offseason.
Could you imagine Brown though? Brown and Hilton, and don't even worry about Bell at that point. Just Brown and Hilton.
Yeah.
Keep Mack on his rookie deal with Hines,
Yes,
and then you got Ebron and Doyle.
love it.
That's like an all Madden team.
Yeah,
And that young offensive line that just
Right.
continue to get better.
Right. And use your draft and free agency on defense.
Right.
a defense that was good this year.
Sneaky good, but I mean, good at it. I mean, they stopped offenses. Now, they didn't look too good against Kansas City, but that's
True.
a whole other ball game.
Yeah,
Go get you a Gerald McCoy.
Right.
there you go.
I mean, there's plenty of guys out there, so we'll see. Number
Be interesting.
5, the wide receiver / tight end for the Oakland I want to say
Oakland A's, man,
Wow.
look at that.
Already got baseball in the brain, huh?
Kyler Murray, my bad. Oakland Raiders, or as I call it, John Gruden's Land of Misfit Toys.
Basically,
That offense was awful, and that's just being generous. Like
Well, the
that's being courteous.
the reason he's top 5 is because he was the offense. He was Kittle, but at the Raiders, the
True.
offense ran through. He was the only guy catching anything.
We had him as our consensus 12. I had him at 15, so did Blackburn, and then Trimboli had him at 11. And I think we just thought that Oakland offense was going to suck so bad it didn't matter. But he was going to see. We banked on volume and opportunity, but just figured there wasn't going to be enough offensive points on the board for him to really be relevant.
Again, though, he was like Ebron. He had good games where he has multiple touchdowns, but he also had games like 4 or 5.
He's one though I'll keep an
Or
eye
like
on.
the championship week
Yeah.
when he had 4.
Right. And he's one that I'm keeping an eye on in the offseason because if this offense gets better, I think his value is going to get better.
Yeah.
But if it stays like it is now, he's going to be up and down again.
Well, his ceiling, 27 points. He had a couple of those. His floor, 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty big.
That's one
High
catch
and
for
low.
1 yard. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that's
Or
a
10
high.
yards.
That's a high and a low. Either way.
Yeah.
That's those gaps. I mean, but if you really look at the tight end position, I was looking at their ceilings and their floors. A lot of them are. I mean, the top 4 tight ends are 30s, around 30 or above, and their floors are 2 and
The best floor was Zach Ertz with 2.5.
right.
Yeah.
That's
So-
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 32, 33, 30, 27. Their floors are 1, 2, 3, 0. You're looking at, you're just like, you gotta be kidding me. But that's the thing with the tight end position is you're gonna, if you hit on these tight ends, like if you take these guys like Kelsey, Ertz, Kittle, Ebron, there's going to be weeks where they win it for you because on their match alone,
Right.
where you get 2 touchdowns and 20 yards. But there might be weeks where you get 1 yard for or 1 catch for 10 yards, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying. These top 5 guys we just talked about, Kelsey, Ertz, Kittle, Ebron, Cook, all average double digits in points.
Right.
Cook was the last one with just 10.4. Everybody else is 7 and below.
Yeah.
And I see the top 3 guys. What I like about them is they can win you a week or even have big weeks without getting in the end zone.
Right.
And that's something that I think after that you have to be in the end zone. Those guys have to be in the
Yeah, a lot of these guys we're going to come up to are very touchdown dependent.
Very. Number 6, Austin Hooper.
Case in point.
Now,
Yeah.
look, this is what I want to talk about, the big drop. Now, this is the drop. I mean, 234, 219, 187, 175, 155, and then going from 5 to 6, 155 to 116 fantasy points.
40 points.
Holy cow. And 40 points in a tight end world, that's a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's not like a running back where it's like a touchdown or 2 or whatever. I mean, that's a pretty big...
It's a pretty big jump. Yeah.
That's a drop from, I mean, and these are the guys, and this is what we talk about. If you don't get one of these top tight ends, you're pretty much playing crapshoot, roll the dice every couple weeks.
Hoping for a
All
touchdown.
right. 116. Do you know what? Okay. Do you know what wide receiver rank that would give him? So if you took Austin Hooper,
Yeah.
if he was a wide receiver, 116 would get him what ranking? Does that make sense?
I'm going to say about wide receiver 40.
I'm going to say 20 to 30.
Man, you're almost all over it. Cooper Kupp was number 42 at 115.
And he was hurt for most of the
Yes.
year.
That's the drop-off.
Wow.
So that's why we say if you don't take a tight end early, just punt, wait late,
Yes.
and pick up these guys. I mean, look at the guys that you could. I mean, when we get down to who finished number 10, you'll see why we say if you don't, even if you get one of these guys, there's no potential
Guarantee. Right.
that you may get. You may get a stud in like a Travis Kelce, or you may get a dud in Robo Gronk, and that's just. And Gronk actually played pretty much the whole season. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
I feel your pain out there, you fellow Gronk drafters. Was not
about
happy
this?
this year.
What running back would it put you at?
ooh, I'm gonna say running back 47.
Yeah.
It's 30. It would have put him at 37.
Okay.
And who was that?
Latavius Murray would have been right above him. Fournette. He would have scored more.
Ugh.
Austin Hooper scored more points than Leonard Fournette. Let me just put that out there.
Wow.
That would probably be why Leonard Fournette is on everybody's hate list on the award show. Just saying.
Man.
All right.
So I'm
So
going to say that again. Austin Hooper scored more points than Leonard Fournette in a half-point PPR.
just so you know, Austin Hooper not even in our top 13. So
I guarantee he wasn't in a lot of people's top.
Wait, I could write him in real quick. Hold on, let's get this done.
Hold on. And then number 7, a disappointment. He still finished as a tight end 1, but a very big disappointment on the year.
Yes.
Kyle Rudolph, 115 fantasy points,
Yeah, and 30 of those came at the last game.
pretty much. That's what's sad. We had
Good job, Kyle.
We had Kyle Rudolph. Now, we did have him as our consensus 6. I had him at 8 at the lowest, and Blackburn had him at 5 at the highest, and Triple E had him at 7. So I just think
thought with Cousins coming in,
Delafilippo was the tight end whisperer, apparently.
Yeah.
right,
He
Ertz
never
had a
even
big
spoke.
season. Kirk Cousins was coming in. He favored tight end in Washington.
Yeah.
Hey,
No.
let's go do this.
No, Delafilippo apparently just never. I don't think he whispered loud enough to Kyle Rudolph.
I don't know what Rudolph did to be on his naughty list, but he did not.
No, it was
All
a
he
bad
did
day.
was say, hey, Diggs Thielen. That's all you need to hear.
Don't worry about that guy named Cook in the backfield or
Kirk,
Kyle
we
Rudolph.
don't need him. Just hand it off to Latavius. He'll
We
do all the work.
paid all this money for you, Kirk. You just throw that ball to number 14 and number 19. Nobody else. So, anyways, Kyle Rudolph coming in at 115 is a disappointment. And at 7th overall, he could have been higher. I mean, if that offense used him.
He could have been up there with Kittle.
I'm just
I
saying,
think.
right? I mean, I'm not even saying that he had to be the main target, but to see a little bit more, even a slight more in red zone opportunities.
Well, that whole offense was kind of sputtered all year. At the end of the year, it got a lot better. So,
Yeah.
which you saw Rudolph's numbers got better. So,
Yeah. When
there's
Philippe-
hope for next year. But
I'm still weary until
Yeah, he's not going to be a top 5 guy by any means. But.
No. Oh well. All right. Next, number 8, Trey Burton.
Yeah.
We had him as our consensus 10. I had him as high as 9. Blackburn was not feeling that Trey Burton offense with 19, and then Triboli had him at 8.
I thought Shaheen was going to be the dude.
Well, he was the number 1 guy, and then Shaheen got hurt, and then Trey Burton was the only guy for majority of the season.
Right.
I mean, Shaheen was supposed to be labeled as baby Gronk coming in, and he had 1 good game, and then he got hurt, and then it was Trey Burton pretty much the rest of the year.
Well, Trey Burton only had like 3 good games, and that's how he got his 112
Well, it's
points.
the offense. I mean, Bears' offense was, if it wasn't Tariq Cohen or Jordan Howard, it was scarce.
I mean, Allen Robinson had highs and lows. Anthony Miller randomly had a good game. I mean, that offense was inconsistent fantasy-wise. You did not know. I mean, and it was almost every couple weeks you didn't know which running back to even play out of that group.
Tariq Cohen was the guy until the last 3 weeks of the season. Then Jordan Howard showed up.
Yeah.
I wanted to put Burton even higher on the list. I just wasn't sure about Trubisky, and now I have no worries about Trubisky. It's just I don't know what Burton's role in this offense is.
I heard a rumor yesterday, too, the Bears. They are looking to perhaps sign Kareem Hunt and deal Jordan Howard.
As I say, I had heard that, as it was stated, the GM, whoever it is, the GM or the owner, was not, how did he say, he wasn't against bringing in Kareem Hunt. He didn't say, oh, yeah, we're going to bring him in. No, but he said, I'm not against it.
They're looking in the idea. But, I mean, they bring in Hunt. And they can get good value for Jordan Howard.
Right.
I think he's gone for how many games next year?
Well, that's the whole thing. We don't know yet.
He's on the exempt list.
So that's 8. That's at least 8 weeks.
I think it's 6. I might be wrong.
6 or 8, but still they can roll with Cohen for then, and then bring Hunt in, and he's still on the rookie deal.
True.
Whereas Howard's coming up. I think next year will be his last year, and then
next year's his last year, and he's going to want money.
Right.
So is Hunt still on his?
He is still on his rookie deal.
So you could bring in Hunt and keep the 2 if you wanted to.
Hunt and Cohen would both be on rookie deals.
Man.
I mean, there's a lot of what ifs. I mean, but yeah, he didn't. I mean, if you're wanting to do a win now because you got Khalil Mack, and I mean, the
defense is good.
So I'm just saying you could potentially go get yourself another wide receiver in the draft. But I'm just saying
they do need wide receiver help.
Right. Allen Robinson, I mean, he's not a horrible wide receiver, but he's not a stud wide receiver 1. And Anthony Miller is more of a slot wide receiver to me. So you need another.
They need a big body.
You need a real guy out there.
And Hunt, I'll tell you what, I don't know if you guys heard all this, but there's more video from the other.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 incidents.
It's not looking too good.
Well, I know. It's never good when you have video. First, him putting himself in that situation is never good.
True.
So we're not dwindling any of that or pushing it aside. But on top of it all, now there's video to go with these accounts. This could be really bad.
Yeah, so if I mean, like I said, the Bears, like I said, I don't think the GM or whatever was never committed to saying, yeah, we are going to look into Kareem Hunt, but he didn't disagree with looking into it. So it was kind of like well, we know he exists. We know he's an option potentially to sign. But that's about as far as we're going to really talk about the situation. I mean, who knows what goes on between those guys and closed doors and everything, and figuring out who. And like I said, at this point, he's still on the commissioner exempt list, so there's a lot of questions around. Availability.
I just thought it was intriguing. If they did want to bring in Hunt, they could trade Jordan Howard. He's still young.
Oh yeah.
Well, and Hunt fits that offense better than Howard does.
Exactly. But I think if Hunt was to come in, we'd see a slight decline in Cohen because Hunt catches the ball a lot.
Right. We'll see. The offseason is still ahead.
I mean, just for fantasy purposes, I'd love to see Hunt in Chicago.
True.
Yeah. I love March and April. It's free agency and draft time. It's my favorite time of year.
It is a good time. Let's see. Number 9, David Njoku from the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Hitting that top 10.
Once Baker took over, I mean, he was pretty much non-existent when Tyrod Taylor was in there.
True.
As soon as Baker came in, Landry's numbers shot up and Njoku's numbers shot up.
Right. And then they dealed off Hyde and brought in, gave Nick Chubb the keys to the car, and it's like, here you go.
He made the most of it, too.
Absolutely.
He's going to be a big riser in next year's fantasy drafts.
I mean, he's a second-round draft pick potentially in these fantasy drafts coming up next year, running back-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean,
early second maybe.
Right. Well, I mean, when we come back in March and start doing some mock drafts and stuff like that, it'll be interesting to see where some of these obviously the incoming rookie class coming in, where these guys are going to be potentially drafted. I mean, I think Nick Chubb is definitely like a mid-second round pick at this point with that offense.
After he got the starting opportunity, he was averaging like 20-plus touches a game for the rest of the season.
Yeah. There's a lot of what ifs.
And Kitchens is still there, so that offense, they're all going to be familiar with it.
Yeah. I feel like they just need to find a guy named like Plumbing or something like that. I don't know. You got Kitchen, Plumbing.
Oh, Plumbing.
You got Baker.
See, I would have gone the other way because it's Kitchen and there's Baker.
Yeah.
Kitchen, Baker. I like that.
They need to bring in Nathan Peterman. He knows how to use the kitchen.
Hot turnovers.
Hot turnovers. He knows he's a microwave.
You're right.
Peterman probably throws picks in Madden.
There you go.
Because he's trash.
When he's not even playing the game.
Speaking of that, someone did his challenge was to be Nathan Peterman and win a game in Madden.
I'm assuming that was a very short video. It wasn't. It didn't.
He did really well, actually.
I could do the Bird Box challenge and be better than Peterman.
Yes. All right, let's set this up.
So, man.
Film at 11.
Right. All right. So David Njoku, we didn't have him in our top 13 because we just were uncertain of the Browns' offense. We
it was
thought
Cleveland. Let's just be honest. We didn't expect Chubb to come out. We didn't expect Baker to come out and do what he did.
No.
We're sorry, Cleveland. Not really, but congratulations. You're looking up.
You are trending in the upward. So, and then none other than the robot.
My 4th round pick.
Robo Gronkowski coming in at 10 with 104 fantasy points. Now, granted, he did average 8 fantasy points a game, but he only played 12 games apparently. I know he missed a couple games with injury early on, but
he sucked.
He did. We had him as our number 1 consensus, and we said that was all based on pure health.
Yeah.
Him playing all 16 games. Well, he didn't play all 16 games. He still got you the tight end 1 position. However, he wasn't very good. There was a lot of weeks.
His first game, he had 27, and then after that, he was like done.
He probably cost you more games than he won you.
Absolutely.
I mean, I haven't really looked into his consistency numbers that hard yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what he probably lost.
It kind of goes like this. You see the
Tide Pods. I'm Gronk, and I'm big. I don't catch nothing.
That's not true. He caught 1 for 25 yards in the playoff game.
He sucks. Get him out.
Anyways,
that's all I can picture is that Tide Pod commercial.
Tide Pod.
Tide Pods.
Oh, man. All right, number 11, O.J. Howard, Tampa Bay tight end. He only played 10 games, finished with 103 fantasy points. He did average 10 fantasy points a game, which is really good, and he probably would have been higher had he not missed the 6 games or 5 games.
He would have been. I think he would have been in between Cook and Hooper.
Yeah, I think he was trending that way.
Yeah,
but
Cameron Brate came in. I mean, it was. We thought Cameron Brate was going to see all the targets. No, I mean, it was just a huge drop-off.
I think O.J. Howard is that tight end that everybody wants to have, that athletic receiving tight end that can be physical enough in the run game, but also can get out there and catch a pass, and also not just run like the traditional tight end.
He's
like
fast.
Right.
Yeah.
He's out there running real routes. So, I mean, he's put on a little bit of weight and a little bit of muscle since coming out of Alabama, but he was still a big kid in Alabama.
He's a beast.
So,
I like him a lot.
And I do like the fact of with Bruce Arians there now in that offense, I think that offense is all the key parts are going to be used to the max.
Yep.
And he's going to maximize Jameis Winston's potential. And this is pretty much, I mean, I know we said it last year, but this truly is the make it or break it year for Jameis because this is his final year of his rookie contract. And, I mean, this is a deal breaker whether he gets an extension or not.
We've got to eat them W's.
I still can't believe that guy did that.
Yeah, if he's got to fix it in between the ears. And
that's what we said in the offseason. It's all between the ears issue-wise for him. He's athletic enough. He's talented enough.
The offense is talented. You got Djax, Mike Evans, Humphreys, Brate, O.J. Howard. There's no reason you should be
right. And you
that.
got enough. And with Bruce Arians coming in, that run game's going to get better tremendously. Or you're
the
not
offense in general should get better with Arians coming in.
Or I was going to say,
I like Ronald Jones a lot next year. If it's anything like it was in Arizona when he was there, with David Johnson came in as a rookie, Ronald Jones could be in for a good year.
I mean, there's a big question mark as to if it's going to be Ronald Jones or if they're going to potentially go outward and go get a guy like a Le'Veon Bell, a Mark Ingram potential. Mark Ingram has said that there's been talks of him potentially wanting to go to Tampa.
That'd be nice, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not been like front page news, but I mean, there's been talks because the writing's on the wall. Mark Ingram knows this is his last rodeo with the Saints.
It just doesn't seem to fit in that offense.
He's just a battering ram.
Yeah.
But he's a number 1 guy. It's just they had to try to make it work with Kamara, and Kamara he fits way better than what.
Right. Well, it's a spread offense.
But is Breeze going to be back next year? Are they going to roll with Teddy Bridgewater? I don't know how that's going to work.
Isn't Bridgewater a free agent though?
He is unrestricted free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent. There's a couple other guys that are out there, but like Foles is the only restricted free agent.
Watch New Orleans get Foles.
Breeze.
Yeah,
sorry.
That someone falls to him in the draft too, and then they get Foles, and guy sits a year or two, and then comes in and got the next Drew Brees on their hands.
Oh man. So OJ Howard, we had him at. We didn't have him in our top 12, did we?
That's right there.
Did I miss him?
Yeah, right. Jared Cook.
Oh.
No, we didn't have OJ. We had him
We
at
spelled it differently. Remember?
I think we had him at like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Right. All right. And then you got Vance McDonald.
Yeah, he wasn't nowhere near our top 20.
No.
Maybe even 30.
He might not even been in the top 32. No, Vance McDonald was the best player on that passing receiving game outside of Antonio Brown and Juju. I mean, he was their third option pretty consistently. James Conner kind of got used in the pass game some, but Vance McDonald had that one game where he just stiff-armed that one guy. It just embarrassed him.
Yeah. That was on primetime, too.
Yes.
So, but he averaged about 7 fantasy points a game. I mean, if you're looking at it, like you said, outside of O.J. Howard, everybody pretty much was averaging about 7 to 8 fantasy points outside of those top, 5 guys.
Right.
So, and O.J. Howard was at, like you said, he would have been in that Jared Cook, Austin Hooper area had he played the rest of the season.
Right, he only played 10 games, and he was averaging 10 points at that. That's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
So if in theory, if he's averaging 10 points, you put another 50 points in there.
50, 60 points. He's right up there with
Jared Cook.
Jared Cook, yeah.
So right on spot. So but yeah, Vance McDonald, I just think he is, I don't want to say he's like that offense is Jason Witt, but he kind of is. It's like he either gets you like 3 catches for 30 yards or he gets you like 2 catches for a touchdown, but he never has like a big game.
No.
And then there's games where he's like gone.
He's like a red zone security blanket for Big Ben.
He's a traditional Pittsburgh tight end for fantasy. He's going to be their big one game, and then majority of the games he's just going to be
Did he have a 0 for his floor?
No, his ceiling was 19, his floor was 1. Yeah. So his ceiling of 19, I think that was the big game where he had that big touchdown run or whatever where he stiff-armed that guy and embarrassed him.
That was awesome. Who was that against?
Tampa Bay.
Yes.
And it was, I think, Grimes. Ended up actually
Brent
putting him
Grimes.
on IR.
Yeah.
And Twitter erupted when that happened.
Yes.
That was amazing.
So, anyways, now it wasn't as good as like Derrick Henry where he stiff-armed 3 or 4 different guys on the same play, but it's up there. And then number 13.
The disappointment
another
of the
big
year.
disappointment.
Yeah. He's the biggest, I think.
I would say biggest disappointment. I mean,
besides Gronk.
I got another one.
Kyle Rudolph is in there.
Well, what about Evan Ingram?
Yeah. Well, we talked about him potentially being an issue because of with OBJ being back.
That's what I was going to say.
And Saquon.
Last year, we said that, or pre-draft, we said Evan Ingram might not be the Evan Ingram we saw last year because Shepard and OBJ was out last year.
Right.
Ingram was the only guy getting targets.
And you brought in Saquon, so you knew the type of offense they were going towards.
Still not at least see him in the top 13, though. I mean, he's got a ton of talent.
He's on Pickles on point. If you didn't have OBJ or Saquon, nobody else is worth having in fantasy unless you were just streaming guys.
Right. I just think that Jimmy Graham though coming in at 13 in an Aaron Rodgers offense, that Aaron Rodgers, even though he had a down year, still finished in the top 5, and Devontae Adams was he was number 2 I think or 1. He was number 1. I just how do you not have more than what he didn't even break 100 fantasy points, and he played 15 games.
If you remember when Jimmy Graham went to Seattle that first year, remember he was trash, and everybody was like, "Oh, Jimmy Graham's done." The next year he rebounded and was a top 5 guy. I'm not saying we're going to see that same Jimmy Graham this year, but he'll have a whole offseason with Rodgers and company to maybe get.
And the offense is probably going to be changing a little bit and not being so Mike McCarthy.
And LaFleur came from where? Tennessee, right?
Who has Delaney Walker.
Exactly. Yeah. Delaney Walker's been a top target there in who knows how long. So
right. I mean, Delaney Walker, he had him for 1 week But
Well,
I
they got to
mean,
use Jimmy Graham like they use Ebron in Indianapolis.
I'm hoping
they
that
got to
they do.
utilize him
Need
in the
to.
red
I
zone
don't-
more.
He's a mismatch for almost everybody.
I mean, he doesn't even need to be the guy that runs like the big routes and stuff like that. I mean, like Zach Ertz and them that are actually running like wide receiver routes. Just kind of using.
Well, he can't run. So
Right, just use him in disguise. Have him kind of fake block if you want to have him press and then zip out for like a 5-yard out. But when you get in that red zone, if you're going to be passing the ball like they do pretty consistently, even this year, I mean, they did dial it down a little bit and brought in Aaron Jones to kind of run at times and Jamal Williams, but Jimmy Graham is 6'6",
Right, just line him up outside 1-on-1 and just throw it up.
just to his reach. I
He'll
mean,
go get
most
it.
DBs are what 6 foot and under. So
5'10", yeah, to 6'1", max.
I mean, they're not like they're Cam Chancellor out there where they're like 6'1", 6'2" safeties. And most of the guys are 6 foot under.
I'd line him up 1-on-1 at the top and just Aaron Rodgers, just throw it up there. He'll go get it.
I mean, I'm hoping that maybe next year he bounces back a little bit, but
I think he will.
we had him as our consensus 5.
Yeah, we were high on him.
We thought that this offense, without Jordy Nelson, that Jimmy Graham was going to slide right into the Jordy Nelson red zone opportunities, and he did not.
Well, you normally want a passing threat or a receiving threat in a passing offense, especially with Aaron Rodgers. It just didn't work out this year.
No, Devontae Adams was the receiving threat on the offense, the only one.
The other guys had a couple good games, but it wasn't nowhere near what Adams had. The only thing that worries me is the emergence of Jones.
Yeah. And what they're going to do.
They can't ignore that.
No, but I mean, I'm concerned to see what Matt LaFleur and whoever the Nathan Hackett or whatever they bring in, what they're going to do with this offense. Because the type of offense that Aaron Rodgers has traditionally been running is not the same offense that Matt LaFleur is bringing in. So somebody's going to have to bend and give a little bit on their philosophies. And I have a pretty good guess it's going to be Matt LaFleur because it's Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to come in and be a first-year head coach and say, hey, Aaron Rodgers, you're going to go ahead and do my play calling only and do not change it at the huddle. You're going to do what I tell you to do. That's probably not going to fly very well for Aaron Rodgers, I'm just going to say, based on his personality type.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. But Jimmy Graham should be utilized a lot more than he was, and he was not utilized enough.
He should have at least been in the top 7.
Should have.
But, oh, well.
Who was your big disappointment that you did not mention?
It was Evan Ingram.
Okay.
I just thought he would be better than.
Mine was Gronk.
Yeah.
All year.
Let's say Evan Ingram was the number 7 consensus for us. Something that we did not mention that we thought, hey, could be pretty good, but ended up, we said it was based solely on playing and being 100% healthy, which lasted how many games for Eifert? Was that 4, 3, 2? 1-ish? 1.5? Anyway, so Eifert, we had him as our number 13 consensus. We just thought banked on if he's healthy, he should be the focal point in that offense outside of A.J. Green.
Jordan Reed started the year off good.
He did.
He had a great year. Once Alex Smith's injury happened, he kind of like fell off.
Yeah, and he had that foot injury towards the end of the year that kind of crept back in. But
I mean,
I will say, Jordan Reed, to me, I know he's in the fantasy side of things was not successful, but for him health-wise, I think this year was very successful.
Yeah. He missed the last couple of games, but other than that, he was on the field for Smith. McCoy, actually, when McCoy came in, we saw a rise in Reed's numbers, and then once McCoy went out, it was everybody's numbers was pretty much non-existent.
It still scares me to say that a guy's great year or healthy year was a year that he didn't finish the whole year.
Right.
You know what I mean? That scares me going forward.
I mean, Jordan Reed.
You don't want to be injury prone.
Well, Jordan Reed's definitely injury prone.
He's injury prone. So if you can get, like we said, if you get more than 10 games out of him, that's a successful year for fantasy purposes, and it was.
That's why his ADP continues to drop every year.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get him late, he can potentially be a steal.
Yeah, the only guy that was on Washington's team that was worth having, and it was Adrian Peterson.
Yeah,
true. All right, I'm trying to see do we have anybody else in here? Delaney Walker, we had as our consensus 8. Obviously, he
that
got
whole
injured.
offense just tanked.
Greg Olsen, he was hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, we had him in our consensus top 5.
Yeah, and he was horrible. But I mean, he was horrible. He was not. He did. I mean, he had a few good games. For the first quarter of the season, then you could kind of tell something wasn't right, and then he went on IR.
And then when he came back, he had 2 good games. And then re-aggravated it again. Right. So I think he might be done.
I think he's going to the booth finally. If he's smart, he is.
That Carolina offense is banged up.
I just don't understand what they're doing there in Carolina.
I'd re-sign Funchess and make him a tight end. He was a tight end in college at Michigan.
He was. He played tight end all but his senior year, and senior year is when they transitioned him out to wide receiver. But still, He understands, and he could
He
be
would
an
be a
O.J.
mismatch.
Howard.
Yeah, he would be a mismatch for linebackers and safeties.
So I don't know. We'll see what they're going to do, but they got to get a quarterback that can push the ball down the field and be more accurate. You can't have a DJ Moore, a Devin Funchess, Christian McCaffrey, and even Ian Thomas, who's probably going to be the heir to the throne for the tight end position there out of Indiana. They need somebody who's going to be able to throw the ball. And I'm not saying that Cam can't throw the ball, but we all know that his consistency is so up and down game to game.
They need to bring in a good quarterback, because if not, CMC, I think everybody will target in on him.
Oh yeah,
his production will go way down too.
If they don't get a good quarterback, if Newton is truly done, to me that takes CMC out of the top first 2 rounds. If they don't bring in a legit quarterback, because he needs somebody.
Wait a minute, back that up. You're taking CMC out of the first 2 rounds? I could see him. Listen, I could see him sliding out of your first round, but still, he's going to be peppered with. The offense is catered around him.
Yeah, but right now, defenses have to worry about Cam running and him throwing. If they bring in a quarterback that's just strictly one or the other, they could just target in on CMC.
I just looked at.
I just meant you're going to take him out of the top 15, basically.
I'm going to put him right at 15. How about that?
Okay.
And that's not a negative to him. I think it's just the effect of the offense. I mean, I know we talk about opportunity and volume, but at some point, if your offense isn't putting touchdowns on the board,
I get that.
Where would you put him if they brought in let's say a Joe Flacco?
I'd have him still in my top 10. I just think that's enough.
Right, yeah.
I think that's enough. I think he's to me, he's the equivalent to Cam Newton, if that makes sense. Like Flacco with the.
But you don't have to worry about him running.
Well, that's my thing. That's why I got CMC at 10 in the top 10 towards the back end, because I think that it takes the element of the run game out for Cam, because Flacco to me is probably he's got more arm strength, but his accuracy is about the same as Cam in my opinion.
So would you rate CMC higher if, let's say, Foles went there?
Yes, because Foles can be consistent and he can be accurate and he can push the ball down the field.
Right.
To me, if and maybe I'm going out right now on a limb, but if Nick Foles was the quarterback for this Carolina team next year with the offense that they currently have, they bring back Funchess, or if they go get one of these rookie guys, Metcalf or somebody out of the draft, to me, Christian McCaffrey is a top 3 back. If you can bring in a quarterback who can throw the ball consistently, whether it's down the field or accurately.
So what about bringing in somebody kind of like a Tyrod Taylor who could kind of fill that Cam role?
I'd have him in my top 6. Because I think that Tyrod Taylor threat of run could be something.
I still think he's floating around that 8 to 10 spot with Tyrod.
I just think Tyrod's a little bit more accurate. He's got a little bit more arm on him too.
He don't throw down the field as much, which I can see a lot more checkdowns from McCaffrey.
True.
I don't know.
It's a what if, but like I said, I would rather have Nick Foles in that offense out of all the unrestricted or the free agent quarterbacks coming up.
I think it's funny that we're talking about Nick Foles like he's going to be like the next Jimmy G.
No, there's a reason why he's a journeyman right now. But still, I mean, it does change the offense in Carolina if you got a guy that can push the ball down the field.
I'm just saying.
Well, even Flacco that's an interesting point when you brought him up. I think
he'll be gone.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And he could be an interesting fit in Carolina.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because all you need is a 1-year guy. You give a guy.
Well,
a 1 year
either way, that's all they're.
Whether it's a 1 year because you're waiting for Cam to come back, or 1 year and you take a quarterback in the draft this year.
Yeah, because who's their backup quarterback?
I forget. It was a young kid. I forget what his name is. I just drew a blank.
See.
I mean, Carolina, yeah, no.
It was a young kid. He got hurt actually, and then they had to bring in the 3rd string guy. So
nice. Heineke.
Heineke, that's who it was. Tyler Heineke. He came in and he actually ended up getting hurt himself. So he ended up having like shoulder issue of some sort. He got hit. So, anyways, all right. So on to the. I know we picked our picks last week. I didn't.
Oh yeah.
I didn't do too bad. I split it 50-50, didn't I? Or did I go into
the
negative?
You went 2-2.
Okay, so I still hit my
3-1. I think.
Blackburn rebounded at 3-1.
You guys all suck. Anyways, all right, playoff games. Rams at Saints. The over/under's 57. Saints are favored at home.
I gotta take the Saints. We've seen this game earlier this year, and we've said it. At home, Jared Goff plays really good. On the road, not so good. I'm taking Drew Brees and the Saints.
I want to see the youth championship, so I want the Rams. So
I want to see the Rams win, but I think Drew Brees and that offense is going to be too much for him.
I'm going to pick this game on purely just who I want to see. I think the Saints probably going to win this game, but I want to see the Rams win, so I'm going to go Rams.
Okay. I was going to say I think it's a high-scoring game, and I think it comes down to the Saints' defense stopping the run. I know that sounds like we talked about it last week.
Hey,
I just think
Gurley and C.J. Anderson tore it up.
that's my concern. I think that the Saints' secondary and pass coverage can cover the guys that they need to slow down that passing game and make Goff maybe make some bad throws. My problem is they don't have Sheldon Rankins, who tore his Achilles, so he's not going to be there. So it's pretty much all Cam Jordan's going to be getting probably a lot of double team. So my concern is, can you stop the run? Can you stop this new emerged two-headed monster of Gurley and the guy that was not good enough for John Gruden's offense?
Yeah.
And C.J. Anderson. So I think ultimately the Saints win, but I think it's a close game. Like Will Lutz kicks like a field goal from into the game to win it. Like I think it's a high-scoring close game though. Honestly.
C.J. Anderson was looking like a mini fridge running out there, boy.
Bro,
Big dude.
He was one of those college mini fridges. Anyways, all right.
Stocked.
Just stocked.
He was fully stocked.
Fully stocked. Anyways.
Well, I mean, as full as you can for a mini fridge.
True.
I like it.
Patriots at Chiefs, over-under 56. Chiefs are favored at home.
And it's going to be -5 degrees on
Yes.
Sunday.
Yes.
But as Belichick has said, we're not playing the weather.
Like Belichick's going to say, it was a good year. Chiefs.
You picking the Chiefs?
Yes.
I am too. Chiefs.
Well, just to make do, I'm going to pick the Patriots because they proved me wrong last week.
Right.
And I hate to say it, as long as Belichick's on that sideline with that cutoff, sweater vest hoodie thing he's got going on, and Brady's still suiting up, I don't care if Gronk gets no touchdowns, no catches. Edelman is
Edelman and James White.
And Sony Michel.
Yeah.
I think he is the X factor in this game.
Well, if you're going to bet the game, you taking the Patriots.
Right.
If you can get Patriots and points, take it.
I think if this game was in Foxborough, I would take the Patriots, but I'm going to roll with Kansas City on this one.
I think Patriots win, and I think they win by 14.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to see it happen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I want the Chiefs. I want the Chiefs Rams. I think it'd be an interesting Super Bowl.
I would even take Chiefs and Saints at this point. I just don't want the Patriots, but unfortunately, given the recent history, you can't count Belichick and Brady out until the clock strikes 0 and the score is not they don't have the better score, unfortunately. I'm just saying. It just seems like they've got this mantra, this inner mantra that everyone thinks we suck. I mean, you heard Brady say it. How many times have you heard Brady in his career come into the post game speech and say, "Yeah, we know everybody thinks we suck, and that's fine. We'll make it work," type thing. I mean, he pretty much told everybody on the post game that we know everybody thinks we suck, but we're coming for that championship again.
Oh, look, when you're in the championship game for almost a decade, you're doing something right.
Yeah. Just true.
I'll tell you what, on the Saints side, the only reason why I don't want to see him get there is because I don't. If Breeze and the Saints were to win, I just don't want Breeze's run to be over yet. And that could be his farewell song if he wins it.
Oh, I would say there's about a 80% chance that if Breeze wins the Super Bowl, he's gone.
Yeah.
I think even if he's eliminated, he's gone.
I think he's got that drive to come to win.
You think
if
he gets to the Super Bowl and loses, he's done?
Yes.
I think if he loses this weekend, he's done.
See, I think he comes back if he doesn't make the Super Bowl.
I could see that. I think if he's in the Super Bowl, I think there's more of a question whether he's done if he doesn't win it.
So we'll see. All right. Well, so you got our picks. All of us picked Did all of us pick the Rams, or did all of us pick the Saints? I picked the Saints.
Saints on your guys' side.
picked the
Rams. I'm the only one here, and then you're the only. Yep.
Okay, just making sure.
I picked the youth Super Bowl.
I want to see the youth too, but I could also see Patriots and Saints getting in and have the old quarterback.
Listen, I could argue for every team. This is pure. I'm just going with my heart here. That's who I want to see. So.
Yep.
Fair enough. All right. Well, make sure you guys tune into the show, whether it's on the podcast, YouTube, or on DATV. Like we said, if you guys, next week's going to be the awards show, so make sure that you're continuing to vote. We've had a ton of people turn in their votes. We appreciate that. More than I was expecting, honestly.
Yes.
Way more, like 5 times more. But anyways,
hey, we like it.
I appreciate. Oh, I mean, I know I appreciate. I know you guys appreciate as well. And
I love hearing from people.
The votes are pretty fun to see, and I mean, they always have the random, like Mickey Mouse. Somebody voted, I think, Mickey Mouse for some MVP.
I hope he wins.
I hope he does too.
If Mickey wins, I will call his name.
So, anyways, so next week will be the MVP for the fantasy awards for the average donation. So we'll have a little bit more game show announcement type theme to it. We'll have fun with it. But we appreciate you guys tuning in today. Check out the homepage, thehateful8ff.com. You've got articles will be coming this off season, as well as all of our different advertisement sponsors, Trophy Smacks, Stat Route. All those guys are involved in that if you want to check that out. And then you can also follow the Twitter account, like we said, for the Hateful Eight. And then you can follow our personal accounts on Twitter. It's at jpickle, TH8FF, at jblackburn, TH8FF, and at ftrim, TH8FF. We're here all off season, so we'll be able to be communicating with, and that's
anytime you guys got questions, just shoot them. It doesn't matter.
We've still got. I mean, we'll get dynasty questions, keeper questions. Some league questions have come through, so those will be. We'll do some off-season maintenance. Then come back in March and do some talking about what to do to maybe make your leagues a little bit better, a little bit more solid to round it out, make it the best. Because that's what it's all about. You want to have fun in your fantasy leagues. You don't want to be dreading it. Yep. You don't want to be dreading that you have to make your league payment, or that you didn't win, or that the guys that you're in the league with suck. I mean, they may suck, but I mean, you don't want to be feeling that way.
Yeah, that doesn't make for a good year.
No.
Got to have a solid group of guys, and then I don't know. I like the way our league's set up, where the loser's still playing for something. He's trying to avoid something.
Right. You don't want the punishment.
Yeah, and the winner's playing for that big trophy.
Right. So that's what it's all about. So, all right. We thanks you guys appreciate that for checking in, and we will see you guys next week for the Average Donation Fantasy Award Show.
Last show of season 2.
It is
crazy. I'm going to end my first season.
Well, congratulations.
I know.
We appreciate you.
Can I come back next year?
We'll have to discuss that off air, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so we'll all be back next year.
Negotiations will be in progress.
Franchise tag, not Le'Veon Bell style. You're going to sign your tender.
You can at least get a 12th round pick for me.
True. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
There ain't no one like these three. You know you just heard Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli. Give the goods talking about nothing but fantasy football. Yeah, it's your year to dominate and to wear that ring. Prepare for the draft and dial in on your craft. Quarterback, the first round is a good choice, you ask? This guy's got first round pick, a favorite? Not so fast. He failed to tune into Hateful Eight. He's a chump finishing last.